Good evening. My name is Jos, and for over a decade, I lived my life in the driver's seat of a loaded tractor-trailer. 10 years. Millions of miles. Countless sunrises watched from the shoulder of forgotten highways. People ask what it's like out there. They picture freedom, open roads, the steady hum of a diesel engine. But the truth is, when you spend enough nights alone in the dark, the road stops being just asphalt. It becomes a mirror, and sometimes it reflects things that shouldn't exist. This is the story that changed how I drive forever, the one I still wake up thinking about. If you've ever wondered what happens when the highway decides it's not done with you yet, pull over, lock your doors, and listen carefully. I was rolling out of Tijuana, heading north along the border, planning to cut across toward my hometown. It was just past 8 in the evening. I'd parked earlier, caught a solid 3-hour nap in the sleeper berth, and my eyes were sharp. My logbook was clean. My coffee was hot. The highway that night was practically empty. Just a thin ribbon of pavement cutting through the desert, flanked by dry brush and rolling hills. I liked it that way. Less traffic means fewer variables. You just set the pace, watch your mirrors, and let the miles eat themselves up. Past midnight, the temperature dropped. The air grew still. That's when I saw it in my side mirror. Headlights. Low to the ground. A white van had slipped out from the tree line behind me. It didn't accelerate. It didn't signal. It just slid into my blind spot and settled there. I figured the driver was just catching a break, maybe pulled over to stretch their legs or check a tire. I did what any experienced hauler does. I tapped my brakes lightly, flashed my high beams twice, and shifted slightly right to give them a clear lane. I waited. Nothing. They stayed glued to my rear bumper. I thought maybe it was a nervous driver. Night driving isn't for everyone. The desert highway can feel endless when you're not used to it. So I eased off the throttle again, dropped my speed by another 5 miles an hour, and gestured once more with my turn signal. Still nothing. They matched my deceleration perfectly, like they were tied to my trailer with a rope. A quiet irritation started to bubble in my chest. I didn't know if it was a prank, a rookie mistake, or something else entirely. But I decided to ignore it. I had a schedule to keep. I just kept driving. 2 hours passed. The van never moved, never tried to pass, just sat there, a pale shadow in my mirrors, riding my exhaust like it owned the lane. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed a break anyway, and I figured a gas station would force them to commit. I'd swing in, use the restroom, grab a sandwich, and let them blow past me while I washed my face. I signaled my exit, slowed down, and turned onto the access road. The moment my tires hit the pavement, the van turned with me, but it didn't pull into the parking lot. It just stopped on the shoulder. Engine idling. Headlights cutting through the dust. I parked, stepped out, and walked to the convenience store. The fluorescent lights felt too bright. The clerk barely looked up. I bought a bottle of water, a pack of gum, and used the bathroom. When I pushed the door open and stepped back into the cool night air, my stomach dropped. The van was still there, exactly where I'd left it. Waiting. Not moving. Not blinking. I'd had enough. I walked straight toward it, boots crunching on the gravel. I knocked hard on the driver's side window. It was heavily tinted. Pitch black. I pounded again. Roll it down. Let's talk. What's your problem? I yelled over the idol. Nothing. Not a sound from inside. I warned them. If you keep following me, I'm radioing every driver on this route. We'll box you in. You'll explain it to us. For a second, there was silence. Then the engine roared. Tires spun. The van shot forward, missing my legs by inches, kicking up a cloud of dust and gravel. I stumbled back, heart hammering. Anger flared, but underneath it, relief. They were gone. I got back in my rig, sat in the cab for 30 minutes, smoked a cigarette down to the filter, and finally pulled back onto the highway. The road felt peaceful again. Just me, the engine, and the dark. I checked the clock. Almost 3 in the morning. I'd barely relaxed when those same headlights reappeared in my mirrors. No warning, no distance, just the white van, right back where it started, pegged to my trailer. This wasn't coincidence anymore. This was deliberate. 3 hours of stalking. Someone wanted something. I decided to push through to the next truck plaza about an hour and a half out. I'd park, find a few seasoned drivers, and we'd confront this person together. I wasn't going to let some ghost rider play games with my safety. I kept a steady pace, eyes locked on the road, waiting for them to make a move. Then they did. The van began creeping alongside me. I eased off the gas, expecting them to finally pass. They slowed down too. The driver's window sat perfectly level with mine. I could feel eyes on me. I hit the horn, waved them away, shouted that it was reckless. Instead, the van pressed harder against my trailer. Metal scraped. My rig shuddered violently. I fought the wheel, but the trailer fishtailed. I lost traction, clipped a wire fence, and slid off the embankment into thick brush and deadfall. The engine choked, died instantly. I tried the key. Nothing. The radio was dead. My phone showed 0 bars. Complete silence, complete isolation. Just me, a dead truck, and the middle of nowhere at 3 a.m. I sat there, breathing hard, trying to process what just happened. Then, headlights cut through the trees. The white van. It parked behind my cab, killed the engine, and went completely dark. I locked my door, pulled the folding knife from my belt. My mind raced to the worst possible scenario. Cartels, hijackers. I'd heard the stories. But 5 minutes passed. No movement, no doors opening, no footsteps. I made the hard choice. I'd step out, face them, and end this. I grabbed my phone flashlight, tucked the knife in my pocket, and walked slowly toward the van. The air was heavy. Crickets had stopped singing, just the crunch of dry leaves under my boots. I reached the driver's door. Knocked twice. Hey. We need to talk. Roll down the window. Silence. I leaned in, cupping my hands around my eyes, pressing my face to the glass to see inside. What I saw made my blood run cold. Empty. Completely empty. Dust coated the dashboard. The seats were cracked leather, faded by years of sun. Fast food wrappers, dried mud, rusted cans on the floor. I pulled the handle. The door swung open. No one. Nothing. This vehicle had been abandoned for years, maybe decades. If no one was driving it, who had been steering it all night? Who had matched my speed? Who had forced me off the road? I backed away, panic rising in my throat. Before I could turn toward my truck, a shadow detached itself from the trees. A man, standing about 20 feet away, backlit by my truck's parking lights. I called out. Hello? He didn't speak, just raised one hand, pointed deeper into the brush, and motioned for me to follow. I hesitated. Every instinct said run, but something in his posture felt urgent, desperate. I followed. The ground grew uneven. I followed. The ground grew uneven. The air thickened with a smell I'll never forget. Wet earth. Decay. Something old and heavy. He stopped near a shallow depression. I jogged to catch up, but when I arrived, he was gone. Vanished into the dark. I swept my flashlight across the dirt, called out, got nothing. Then I looked down. 3 bodies. Partially covered by leaves and soil, too far gone to tell age, gender, or how long they'd been there. I didn't think. I ran. I scrambled back to my cab, threw myself inside, turned the key, and prayed. The engine fired on the first try, like it had been waiting for me to leave. I didn't look back. I drove straight to the plaza, tears mixing with sweat, dialed emergency services, and led them back to the site. 2 fellow drivers stayed with me until the cruisers arrived. Detectives took my statement, already knowing I'd sound like a madman. I told them everything. The van, the pursuit, the crash, the empty vehicle, the figure, the bodies. When I finished, one detective slid a photograph across the hood of his cruiser, the white van. I confirmed it instantly. They exchanged a heavy look. The other detective explained the van belonged to 3 journalism students who'd vanished 2 weeks prior. They'd been heading to Ciudad Juarez to investigate missing women cases. Never made it. Found shot. Abandoned. The reason they needed my account? to clear my name. Criminal cartels were prime suspects. They needed to know I wasn't involved. I broke down right there on the asphalt, not from fear, from the weight of it. Those souls didn't haunt me to scare me. They used me to be found, so their families could stop searching, so the truth could finally see daylight. That night changed everything. I still drive, I still haul freight, but I never look at the dark the same way. The road doesn't just connect cities, it carries echoes, drivers who never made it home, stories that refuse to stay buried. If this kept your hands tight on the wheel, drop her in the comments. If you've got your own unexplained mile marker moment, share it below. I read every single one. Hit like if you made it to the end without checking your mirrors. Subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss the next dispatch from the dark. Stay sharp, keep your lights high, and remember, not everything that follows you is just your own reflection. Thanks for riding along. I'll see you on the next stretch.